We're going to review the story of Dama ben Asina that we learned last week and go more in depth and see the contrast, the way this story is told over in the Bavli and Our Gemara, and then there's the way it's told over in the Yerushalmi. It gets very interesting. So the Gemara illustrates from the actions of a certain non-Jew the degree to which the mitzvah of honoring one's father and mother extends. And they asked Rav Ula, how far does the mitzvah of honoring one's father and mother extend? Yeah, how far do you have to go with this mitzvah? Rav Ula replied, go and see what a non-Jew by the name of Dama ben Asina did for his father in Ashkelon. So we're learning Kibbud Avayim from the Goyim. It once happened that the sages wanted to buy a certain merchandise from Dama ben Asina in a transaction that it would have yielded him a profit of 600,000 gold dinars. A ton of money, but the key to the chest that contained the merchandise was lying under his father's pillow, and his father was sleeping at the time. Nevertheless, Dama ben Asina did not disturb his father. Yeah, so last time we mentioned the word for this transaction was pragmatia, and what the word pragmatia means. Another version of this incident, Rabbi Yehuda said in the name of Shmuel, they asked Rabbi Eliezer, how far does the mitzvah of honoring one's father and mother extend? Rabbi Eliezer replied, go and see what a non-Jew by the name of Dama ben Asina did for his father in Ashkelon. The sages wanted to buy stones for the ephod from him in a transaction that would have yielded him a profit of 600 gold dinars. And a different version of the story taught by Rav Kahana records that the potential profit was actually 800,000 gold dinars, so either 600,000 or 800,000. However, the key to the chest containing the precious stones was lying under his father's pillow, and his father was sleeping at the time. Nevertheless, Dama ben Asina did not disturb his father. The next year, the Holy One, blessed is He, gave Dama ben Asina his reward, and a para aduma was born in his herd. So that was the reward of keeping this mitzvah, that he got a para aduma. And last week we discussed why specifically the mitzvah of para aduma. Seemingly para aduma is very different than kibbud avayim. Kibbud avayim is a very logical mitzvah, and para aduma is something which is...
Every Jew would want.
What?
All the Jews would want the para aduma.
Yeah. So now let's see what he's going to take for it. So Dama ben Asina told him, I'm aware that in your situation, if I would ask from you all the money in the world for the para aduma, you would give it to me. However, I ask from you only the amount of money that I lost as a result of honoring my father.
I just want to tell you that a gold dinar as issued by the United Arab Emirates today, 600,000, we were $382 million.
Whoa.
That's some serious cash.
Yeah, this is we could see how much he was willing to forgive, to give up, right? Mm-hmm. So this is the story, the way
what
we
would
have.
His father have done if you woke him up?
So it's not about what he have done. It was about him respecting his father.
I understand that.
Yeah, so it's a whole discussion. If you know that your father would want you to wake you up, are you allowed to do it? And the answer is yes. We said last time that in this situation, his father was not mentally stable, so he didn't really know or understand what was going on. So that's
something as important as the jewels for the ephod. The Yidden couldn't get back there that day, or couldn't come back the next day.
So that's the thing. Did they end up? So part of the question is, did they end up buying it from him the next day or not, or did he actually lose the money? So let's see. So the Talmud Yerushalmi, we have this story, but difference, and there's a few interesting differences, and we'll try to see if we could make sense of it. So Talmud Yerushalmi. Rabbi Avo in the name of Rabbi Yochanan. They asked Rabbi Eliezer, how far does honoring father and mother go? He said to them, you're asking me? Go and ask Dama ben Asina. They ask the rabbi. The rabbi says, go to a guy, see what he thinks. Dama ben Asina was the head of a city council. So now we know a little bit more of Dama ben Asina. The word in the Yerushalmi for this is actually called Peter Buli.
Was it?
Peter Buli.
How do you spell it?
Peites Reish.
Peter?
Peter, like a father, I guess. And Buli, Beis Vav Lamed Yud, that's like the counselor, the people. So he's the Peter Buli. He's the big guy.
I wonder if that relates to bully pulpit.
I'll have to look into that. Once his mother was slapping him in front of the entire council, and a slipper fell from her hand, and he handed it back to her so that she should feel no inconvenience. So not only does he not, do anything back, he actually helps her out when she needs. Okay, so we'll have a similar story a little bit later on in the Gemara in the Bavli. Reb Chizkiah said he was a Gentile from Ashkelon and the head of the city council, so he also agrees on that. He never sat on the stone on which his father used to sit that his father used to sit. So that was another idea of respect. And when his father died, he worshipped the stone. So he might have been an Oved Avodah Zarah, someone who worships stones or idols. Now here it says, once the Jasper of Binyamin was lost. So what are they referring to? So in the Choshen, in the 12 stones that the Kohen Gadol would wear on the breastplate, so each one of the stones corresponds to another one of the tribes. And the last one, if you look on the last page over here, is the picture. So on the bottom, the last stone for Binyamin is Yashpeh. That's the name of the stone. Mm-hmm. And that stone was missing for the breastplate of the Kohen Gadol. They inquired who would have one of similar quality. Mm-hmm. They were informed that Dama ben Asina did. So here we already see a difference, right? In our Gemara, in the Bavli, it says what was missing. It was the stones of the ephod. It doesn't say clearly that it was a certain specific stone that was missing. Here we're saying it was specifically the last stone, the Yashpeh, the Jasper of Binyamin, that was lost. They were informed that Dama ben Asina did. They went to him and agreed on 100 dinars. He went up the upper floor to bring it and found his father sleeping. And here they have a few versions of the story. Some say that the key to the chest was in his father's fingers. Mm-hmm. Some say his father's foot was resting on the chest. What do we have in our Gemara? Under the pillow. So here we have another few versions. He descended to them and told them, I could not bring it to you. And they thought maybe he wants more money, and raised the price to 200, then to 1,000. That's a big jump, but maybe they were climbing all the way up. When his father woke up from his sleep, he went up and brought it to them. So here, what you asked before, did he actually get it? In this story, according to the Yerushalmi, they did buy it from him.
Not for 600,000 either.
Right, you're right. That's, they wanted to give him according to the amount mentioned last, which was 1,000, but he refused. He said, do I sell my father's honor for money? I will not have any advantage from honoring my father. He did not want to take a reward. Mm-hmm. Then the Yerushalmi continues, what reward did the Holy One praise to him give him? Rabbi Yosef ber Abban said, the following night his cow gave birth to a red heifer, and Israel gave him its weight in gold and took it. So this is very different than our story. In our story, he said, I'm only going to take what I lost for, honoring my father and mother. Here, it says that they gave him the weight of the paraduma in gold, and he took it. So over here, he's not saying, I'm not going to... What?
Israel gave him its weight in gold and took it. I think it means the heifer. Unless the word he is missing.
Well, they both... They took the
They took the paraduma, he took the money.
Yeah, but it's saying they took it's not saying he took it, it's saying they gave it. Yes. There's a difference. Small difference. Okay, never mind.
Let's see I hear what he's saying. Let's see at the end, Reb Shabsai said, justice and much charity he will not suppress. This is a pasuk from Eov. The Holy One, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, will not wait to give the reward for good deeds to the Gentiles. So here you see that he was rewarded by getting this money for the Para Aduma. And we see here an idea that Hashem could push off his payment for the Jewish people, but for the Goyim, he makes sure to give it to them right away. So, if we just review here, we have a lot of differences in the story, the way it's recorded in the Bavli and in the Yerushalmi. So, we have the difference if it was just like any stones of the ephod. Here it says the Yashpeh of Binyamin was lost. And then, where specifically, if the key was under his pillow or if it was by his feet. And then, what happened? How much money did they go up to? And was he rewarded? Another difference is that in our story, it says that a year later the para was born. In the Yerushalmi, it says that following night. So that's much quicker. So, let's try to see what could be the reasons for this. Now, why out of all of the stones, or out of all things, was it specifically the Yashpeh of Binyamin? Why was it this stone that was related to the story of Kibbud Avim? So, we'll look a little bit at what this type of stone is and how it's connected to Binyamin. And then we'll try to get back to Kibbud Avim. So this is in the paper Rabbeinu B'chaye, Binyamin al Yashpeh. So Rabbeinu B'chaye, he actually goes into all these stones that are on the Choshen, and he explains each one, what it represents, why this color, and why it relates to this specific shevet. So he says, there's something special about the Yashpeh, about the Jasper. V'hi klula migvanim harbe. You have some of these Jasper stones that have many colors. You have what's called the rainbow jasper. There's aduma, shcheira, yeruka. It could have colors of black, red, and green. So it's colorful. V'nitna leBinyamin. Why was it given to Binyamin? Because his heart turned into many colors, into many ways. He had many different ideas. V'chashav machshavos b'mchirasei shel Yosef. He had many thoughts regarding the sale of Yosef. Hislabit b'ma'id. He was very conflicted. He was confused. Im yigal hadavar la'aviv im lai. Should he tell his father or not? V'afal pikein niskaber al yitzray v'hayamatzer l'rucha. He controlled his yetzer hara, or his desire, and he did not reveal it to his father. So, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Well, not saying, from one hand, it's not saying Lashon Hara about the brothers. It's not saying that they did, from the other hand.
Sorry, the father felt.
Yeah, it's tricky. That's why it's saying that was the two sides. He was going back and forth. That's why he got this stone. Because the stone represents, a lot of colors or conflicting ideas. The Nikras Yashpeh, why is the stone called Yashpeh? Shtei milos, it's actually two words. Yashpeh, there is a mouth. V'zeh meira al malosai, this is actually representing the quality of Binyamin. Sha'afal pi shehaya lo peh, even though he had a mouth, v'haya lo legales hadavar, and he had the ability to reveal it. Shasak v'lo gila, he was quiet and he did not reveal it. So the Jasper stone, this stone represents, it's colorful, but also being quiet. So how could we relate this to the story of Dama ben Esina? He was quiet. He didn't wake up his father. So maybe that could be connected. Shasak, he was quiet. V'lo oiris aviv, he did not awaken his father. V'gam Binyamin haya kibbud avim. It says that of all the brothers, Binyamin was the one who respected his father the most. All the other brothers, they ran into trouble with the sale of Yosef, which was causing their father a lot of pain. But Binyamin, he was the only one who, did kibbud avim.
But he didn't say anything.
he didn't say anything. So that's really, it's like two opposite things. From one hand, you're saying that he had kibbud av v'em. From the other hand, he didn't say anything. Yeah, it's a little bit confusing.
How do we know he had kibbud av v'em? Because he didn't. We don't have any information that he had kibbud av v'em. We don't have information that he went along with his brothers and deceived them.
I'm saying the sale of Yosef, that was not kibbud av v'em, because we knew that Yaakov really had a lot of respect for Yosef, and doing something like that to Yosef is also disrespecting Yaakov. So by not...
I'm asking, where do we have evidence that he had kibbud av v'em? Not from the story of Yosef.
It's from the fact that he wasn't part of the sale. That itself shows that he had kibbud av v'em. I'm saying, but the fact that we know that all the brothers were part of the sale, that itself is a lack of respect. The fact that that Binyamin was not part of that, he's already doing better.
He didn't say he didn't have part of it, just that he had the objections.
But he wasn't even there. He wasn't around during the sale.
So and that brings me to my second question, which I thought was the case. If he wasn't even there, then how does he get credit for respecting? He didn't even have a choice.
So it could be that not saying it is also a type of respect, because the question is, which one would give his father more pain, knowing that the brothers sold him, or not knowing that his son is alive? That's really the conflict that maybe Binyamin was having. But from this Rabbeinu Bechaya, it's saying that it was actually positive. It would have hurt his father more knowing that the brothers sold their own brother.
I guess it would be because you'd be mad at 12 people instead of just being grief-stricken about one.
Yeah, but that's...
11.
So that's one idea of Binyamin and Yashpeh and how it relates to the story. Yeah. So here we'll go a little bit further. It's very interesting about these stones. So there's a pasuk in Yeshaya that says like this: "V'samti chadkoid shimshoi sayich." This is talking about the glory of Yerushalayim. And it says, "I will make your pinnacles of kadkoid." So what is kadkoid? What are pinnacles? And the word for it is actually shimshoi sayich. Shimshoi sayich has the word in it shemesh, like a sun.
Okay.
And some explain that it means like a window, things that allow sunlight to pass through. So Reb Shmuel Bar Nachmani said, this is a Gemara in Bava Basra. It says, 2 angels in heaven, Gabriel and Michael, disagree with regard to the material that will be used to form the walls of Yerushalayim. So this is an interesting machlekes. Usually you have an argument between 2 rabbis. Here we have a machlekes of 2 angels, Gabriel and Michael. So what are they arguing about? What type of stone? And some say that this dispute is between 2 Amoraim in the west. So first of all, we're saying that it's a machlekes between the angels. And some say it's a machlekes between the rabbis. Right? And who are they? They are Yehuda and Chizkiah, the sons of Reb Chia. So those might be the 2 rabbis that are in dispute. One said they will be made of onyx, which we call Shoham. It's called Avnei Shoham. And some of the translations say that Shoham is the onyx stone, like you could see. And one said of Jasper. So that's the machlekes. Is it going to be out of Shoham or is it going to be out of Yashpeh? So what does Hashem say? Hashem gets in the middle of these 2 angels, or in the machlekes. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to them, let it be like this and like that. Who's right? You're right, you're both right. Levi kadein ukadein. So the word kadkoid has in it both of these words. Kadkoid is kadein ukadein, like this and like that. Mm-hmm. So that's how it's hinted in the word kadkoid. It's resolving the dispute that they will be both together. Let them be formed from both together. This compromise is indicated by the word kadkoid, the combination of this and that. Kadein ukadein. So, we're going to tie back ultimately at the end, but here we see that there's a dispute whether it's Shoham or Kadkoid, or Yashpeh. Is it the onyx stone or is it the Jasper stone? But what's this machlekes? What are they arguing about? What's the difference? What type of stone is it? And what does it represent? So, a little introduction. We're going to go dive deeper into Kabbalah and Chassidus about what these different stones are. So, there's two types of light. One is called Ohr Yashar and one is Ohr Chozer. There's a direct light and then there's a returning light. And an example of these two types of light would be Leda Vestalkos, like when a person is born or when a person passes away. So when a person is born, there's a certain light that comes into the world. His neshama comes down into the world. When a person passes, that light is returning. That light goes back up to Hashem. Yes, salak, like removed, like when a person, his stalkut, when the light returns. Another, so the stakel would be with a chaf.
Oh, you shaved your beard. That's what I'm thinking. It's different.
I didn't shave it, I just turned it real close.
And then you have a tzaddik and a Baal Tshuva. So a tzaddik is more of a direct light. Everything is going straight. His light is just shining. But a Baal Tshuva, he's a returning light. He's a light which, he's coming back. He's returning. So that's another type of light. And then there is Yerushalmi and Bavli, which is also that, the Talmud Yerushalmi, we don't study it that much, but it's much more direct. Talmud Yerushalmi, they pretty much go straight to the point. There's not so much back and forth the way we have it in Talmud Bavli. Talmud Bavli is more of a light which is returning, which comes from the discussion back and forth. So we're going to go a little bit into the gemstones, the diamonds or the different stones that they were on the Choshen, or stones in general. Then we're going to explain the machlekes, the argument Shoham versus Yashpeh, and then we'll go back to our story. We'll see. It's really amazing.
Is Asher a green stone?
What's the type of stone for Asher?
Haroshish?
Tarshish. Tarshish on the bottom looks like a crystal. It looks pretty clear.
Clear?
The one on top of it for Dun or Levi, those look more green.
I found a green stone on the Tel Aviv beach.
Yeah?
I have it at home.
Yeah, it's hard to know exactly what these stones look like. And I even tell you that you see here there's two pictures for Shoham, and I saw two different translations. Some say that Shoham is onyx, some say that it's the lapis lazuli. And those are very different type of type of stones. But we'll see soon, why it could be more one or the other. So what's the idea? What's the meaning of a gemstone? So this is on the second page. This is Lakota Torah from the Alter Rebbe. Hine bezeh yuvan inyan avanim teves. We'll understand the concept of these beautiful stones. Shehim doimin. They are inanimate. You have these stones.
They're inanimate?
Inanimate.
Not living.
Not living.
Inanimate.
Va'afal pikein me'iros. Nevertheless, they have this light which is shining off of them. Umi'ayin yesh lahem koyach zeh. Where do they get this power from? Now, how do you have this stone which seems lifeless? How does it have so much light? And here he says something really amazing. I looked this up afterwards, and he says, Ki ikar gidulam hu min hakochavim. The brightness of the stones come from the stars. Did you know that some diamonds, some gemstones come from exploded planets or stars up there? What? Right, so they come from the kochavim. V'loi min hakochavim anirim, and he says it's not from the stars that are visible. She'elu yesh lahem mispar. The stars that we could see, they are limited. There's a certain amount. There's elef va'id kama. Elo min hakochavim she'ein nirim. The stars that are not visible, that is the source of the diamonds, of the gemstones. Those stars do not have an amount or limit at all. We don't see them. They're not visible. Their whole purpose is to give light to these gemstones. That's the purpose of the stars. Now, what do we see here? You think about it, they're very opposite. The stars are in the sky, they're up there. Then you have these stones, which are all the way down here. So he says, it is specifically because they are on the lowest level, where you do not see any life in it. That's why they're able to receive such a great light from the stars that do not have any, you can't even count them. He's basically saying that there's something very special about these stones. They come from a place that we can't even imagine, we can't even see, that they come from the stars. Jewish people are compared to the kechavim, to the stars, right? Hashem says you will be like the sand and you will be like the stars. Just like you can't count the stars, you also can't count all these gemstones. Just like you can't count the stars, there are so many different types of stones, of beautiful stones. And there's so many different shapes and looks. There's so many different types of, even in white. You could have the most clear type of stone. And then you have a stone which is not crystal clear. You have many different colors. You have just millions of different, colors and reflections and shapes.
Mistalkos and mischalkos. Okay.
Yeah, similar.
It's just a grammatic construction, man. Yeah.
The derech klal hein yud beis avanim. Now, even though you have so many different types of stars and types of stones, but in general they could be divided into 12 categories, 12 stones. Lemispar shivtei b'nei Yisrael, according to the 12 tribes. Now, if you look closely at the word shevet, what does the word shevet mean? Huloshen hamshacha. Shevet could also mean bringing down. Huloshen koichva deshavet, like a shooting star. Shehu koichav animshach, like a star which comes forth. So we have here all these ideas coming together. We have the Jewish people, the stars, and the diamonds. And, the Kohen Gadol, he's wearing on his breastplate the 12 stones. And these 12 stones are corresponding to the 12 Shvatim, to the different Jewish people, the different tribes, which connect to the different stars. It's so basically the point here is that looking at these gemstones, they're not simple. Sometimes a gemstone could be worth a lot of money. Why are they worth so much? They have a very unique quality which comes all the way up from the stars, and the stars which we can't even count. This is all talking about the different colors and appearances, the above mentioned, that if we want to generalize, we could put it into 12 categories. Which is the 12 directions. If you include the different midas attributes, you have different stones or different tribes that are more connected to a certain midah. But now we're going to generalize it even more. From 12, we're going to go to 2. In general, there's 2 types of light. Yesh even shehu meir b'bchinas Ohr Yashar. There is a type of stone that shines with a direct light. Dahainu shehu even hameir. This stone has light within itself. Uba'oiroi nira oir la'acherim. With the light of the stone, others can see light. She'imaitzi imaisei b'chayshech. If you take it in the darkness, humeir, it will bring light.
You're talking about clear stones
Where light could go through them.
light could go through them, like the stone that was in the top of the ark. A stone that was in the ark of the table that let sunlight in.
That I was thinking about the light in the table, but the thing is, in the table there was no really. The table is closed. How would they get light from outside?
Right. So
It
they
sounds
put the
like.
stone in, and the light from the outside came through the stone and diffracted in all directions.
But the question is, was there light coming from outside, or was it totally closed, the teva? It sounds like over here that there is light within the stone itself. It's a little bit hard to understand how this works.
I always heard that interpreted as the stone was set in the top deck like a lens.
Yeah,
So the light from the outside
Could
would
go
shine
straight.
and then spread through and be diffracted by the stone all over through the inside.
so possibly that's what it could be referring to. But it says something interesting. You take it in the darkness. How is it supposed to shine outside? That's what makes that's a little bit hard to understand.
Well, I'm thinking if you take it in the darkness, but it's not. It's not like you're taking it in a dark room. It's like you set it as a window in a dark room, and the light shines through. You got two kinds of stones. You got a solid blue stone that reflects blue light, and then you've got a transparent blue stone where the light that comes through it is transformed into blue light.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be the difference in Yashar and
Chozer.
Chozer.
So let's see how in the wording that he uses, so the idea is, like you said, there's the light that shines through the stone. That's Ohr Yashar.
There's only one glowing stone that will kill you pretty fast.
What is that?
Radium.
Right. So that's Nesharasoi Mispashetas Mitoiche Velachutz. The word that he uses here is that the ray extends from in it and outward. That is Ohr Yashar. That is the direct light. The Yesh Even, there's another type of stone, Shehu Mavrik. Mavrik means it's brilliant. The Zoyrek Kebarak Chitzim. It shoots out like arrows of light, Be'ein Haraya, in the eyes of the beholder. Ad shetislayt ein haraya, until it kind of ignites or inflames the eye beholding it, v'pnei zivay v'hadare, because of its beauty. V'zeh b'chinas Ohr Chozer shu mimata l'mayla. This is the other type of light, where it's not that the light is shining through the stone, it's the light which comes to your eye. It's reflected. It's not that the stone is shining, it appears brilliant to the person seeing it. So that's Ohr Chozer. So let's again summarize. So we have millions, and we can't even count how many different types of diamonds. If we want to generalize it, we have 12, the 12 Shvatim. In these two, we have Ohr Yashar and Ohr Chozer. We have a type of stone that the light shines through them directly, and then there's a light that comes and kind of bounces back. It's a returning light.
Transmission and reflection.
Yep. V'hein heim b'chinas beza tzadikim. These are two types of tzadiks. There's tzadik elyon l'mayla lamata. There's some tzadikim that their job is to bring down the light. And then there is tzadik tachton mimata l'mayla. Then there's a lower tzadik, and his job is to bring it from bottom up. Who are these two tzadikim? Shehem Yosef HaTzadik, you see it's in bold, Yosef HaTzadik, or Binyamin HaTzadik. These two types of tzadikim are Yosef and Binyamin. Which one is which? Binyamin hu milmata l'mayla. Binyamin is bottom up. B'chinas Ohr Chozer. This is the returning light. What would this mean spiritually? Dahainu b'chinas tshukas hanevroim l'skalol b'makayram. This is the idea where the creations yearn to return to its source. Vel ishech chukasech, or the idea of the wife wanting to connect to her husband. Mayim tachtonim boichem anan ba'ina lemevi kadam alko, or like it says, the waters from below are crying that they want to be next to Hashem. Ki ein roitzim lishar lamata, they do not want to stay below. This is referring to when Hashem separated the higher waters and the lower waters. It says the lower waters were complaining. They're like, we want to be up there. How do we see this about Binyamin? V'ulai, perhaps, Zel Merumas Beledas Binyamin. We find about the birth of Binyamin, Shenemar Sham, it says over there, Vatakash Belidata. It says that Rachel was having a very hard time in giving birth to Binyamin. Why is that? Ki Rachel hi b'chinas Malchus. Rachel is the level of Malchus. Ubelidata hi iskalus neshamas Binyamin liyis b'chinas Nivra b'biyah. It's a little bit of a Kabbalistic idea, but we mentioned before that Ohr Yashar is like, neshama coming down into the world. But Ohr Chozer would be that the neshama doesn't want to come down, it wants to stay up there, right? So why was it so hard to give birth to Binyamin? Because Binyamin wanted the light to stay up there. He didn't want to come down. His neshama didn't want to come down. That's why his mother was having a hard time giving birth to him. It was very difficult. It was very hard for his soul to come down to this world. This is opposite of the nature of his neshama. He was a chariot to the idea of the returning light from bottom up, to be included in its source. And leidasei, being born, hainu hiskalusei, that's the opposite, being revealed, lias lamata b'viyah. So Binyamin, like we said before, Binyamin was very quiet, right? We said Yashpeh, he had a mouth, but he didn't speak. Binyamin was very kind of to himself, very inwardly. Yosef is the opposite. Yosef atzaduk b'chinas Ohr Yashar. Yosef is the direct light, milmayla lamata, from above to below, lahashpia lebiyah, to give influence, to give abundance. And we see this in Yosef's life. Yosef was the provider. He was the one who supported the whole Mitzrayim, especially in a time of hunger. But Yosef hua mashber. Yosef is the one known to be the giver. So here we see Yosef and Binyamin, two opposite gems, two opposite stones. Yosef is the light, just pouring forth. Then you have Binyamin, which is kind of going up, the light going back to its source. So now that we have this idea of the two types, Ohr Yashar and Ohr Chozer, now we'll go back to the two types of stones. V'hinei avanim hayu al shmois hashvatim katildasam. The stones were connected to the names of the Shvatim according to their order that they were born. The Seder Havanim, Aidem Pitida, who lefi Seder Toldas HaShvatim, K'mei Harambam. Nimtza Shoham leYosef, v'Yashpeh leBinyamin. So we have here Shoham for Yosef and Yashpeh for Binyamin. Let's just skip to the end of this brackets. V'ayin berabais be'Esther al pasuk ein Esther magedes.
Wait a second, I lost you, please.
Where it says ein Esther magedes. Magedes.
Okay.
It says that.
What does that mean?
It says that Esther would not say her story. She wouldn't say that she was Jewish. Why? It says that Esther came from the tribe of Binyamin. And just like Binyamin was quiet and he didn't say anything, about the story of Yosef, Esther, which was a descendant, also kept quiet. So we see here again the idea of the tribe of Binyamin being very quiet, being Ohr Chozer, the returning light. So now let's go back to the machlokes, and if you look at the two stones, Shoham is supposed to be a more radiant light. If you look at the onyx stone, it could be very bright, and also the other opinion that it's the lapis lazuli, they have a very strong light, which comes out from them. The Yashpeh is different. The Yashpeh, if it has like all these rainbow colors, it could be a very strong reflective light. And that is really the two Shvatim, what they represent. Shoham would be the Yosef idea, the Ohr Yashar, the light shining straight.
I want you all to imagine that you come from some dusty little village in the middle of the Sinai plain, and you're coming to Jerusalem, and there rising in front of you are these huge walls of, take your pick, polished black stone or brilliant blue stone. It would blow your little mind.
Or both.
Or both. Or with the jasper.
With the jasper.
Then it would be polished black with these streaks of very fantastic colors, or polished blue with these streaks of fantastic colors.
Yeah, isn't that amazing to imagine that?
The lapis lazuli is also compared to the sky, to heavens. I remember hearing that in mosaics they would use lapis lazuli to make the sky.
Yeah, it has like the colors of it.
And it has, so it has celestial connotations. So which one is Lamata?
So like this. So Shoham is Malamai Lamata. Shoham is the light which goes forth. The Yashpeh, that's the other one.
Right.
Now, I was having
The Shoham is lapis lazuli, and lapis lazuli represents the sky, and yet you got, like, in effect, a piece of the sky lying on the ground. That's literally the Lamata.
Right, so I'm actually much more in favor that it's lapis lazuli, because I was having a difficult time that the dark stone should be that like Ohr Yashar, that light which is going forth, because it's like so dark.
Yeah, on the other hand, black when polished is like a mirror.
Right, so then it could also have a very strong light.
Yeah.
But I like the other stone better, the lapis lazuli. Yeah. So like you said, David, could you imagine looking at the stones, the walls of Yerushalayim, and being a mix of these two types of stones? It's really, really amazing. So now let's get back to the machlokes. We had here two angels fighting. What type of stone is the walls of Yerushalayim going to be made of? The Zehu Shemichael Amar Shoham, Gavriel Amar Yashpeh. Kihine Shimshoi Sayach. The word in Yeshaya was Shimshoi Sayach. What is Shimshoi Sayach? Pirish Chaloinois Shemeir Behem Hashemesh. This is the windows that the sun shines forth through them. V'hu mashal. This is an example, an analogy. L'ha'aras erin tzayf be'beis mini chaloinos. There are two types of windows. There is either the light of Hashem coming down, or we could go upward where the world is ascending. So there's either Hashem's light descending, or we are ascending to Hashem.
Maybe they thought the sun was a hole in the sky, and letting the celestial light from beyond the sphere through. They may not have thought of it as a glowing object. They may have thought of it as a window to the celestial light.
But here we're talking about a window to the sun, for the sun to shine forth.
Shine through?
To shine through. Shemeir Behem Hashemesh, that the sun shines forth through these,
Right.
and basically it would be through these stones, because the sun is shining through these stones. And there's two types of ways. It could either shine through the Shoham stone in a direct way, passing through in a clear way, or reflective, like the Jasper, like the Yashpeh of Binyamin. Let's go to where it says V'hu kamayal derech mashal. The line starts V'hu. This is similar to Shem Echad Aimid Lamayla, V'habez Lamata. You have one person, let's say, on top of the hill, another guy is on the bottom. V'reitel L'skarev Yachad. They want to come close to each other. There's two ways. Either the person on top goes down, so basically this is the two ways how we connect to Hashem. Either we bring Hashem down, or we raise and go up to Hashem. Now, Michael, we know the angel Michael is Sar Shel Chesed. He is the minister of kindness. Shubchinas Hashpa. The idea of kindness is giving, which would be the Shoham, that would be the direct light. Mulmayla Lamata. Amar, what does he say? According to what he represents, Sheyiyah B'chinas Shoham Dafka. He says, what type of stones will be in the time of Mashiach, of the walls of Yerushalayim? The level of Shoham, B'chinas Yosef, the idea of Yosef, Kikein Midase, because that's his attribute. Masha'inkin Gavriel, which is the idea of Gevura, which is strength, restraint, holding back, being inward. Amar Kifimi Dasai B'chinas Gevura V'stalkas Lamayla Dakta. So he is returning, he says, no, it's going to be a Yashpeh, a Jasper, that type of stone, which represents the reflective light, not the Ohr Yashar, but the Ohr which comes the other way from bottom up. Okay, so now we have a whole deeper picture of what's the Yashpeh of Binyamin. What does it mean according to Kabbalah and Chassidus? The idea of the stone is a light which comes from bottom up. It's a reflective light. So now let's go back to the story of Dama ben Asina. The story of Dama ben Asina. Which stone was missing? Why was it the Yashpeh of Binyamin that was missing? Based on all this whole idea, why was that stone missing? Because it had to come from bottom up. So it had to come from outside. The Jewish people didn't have it. Where did it come from? It came from a goy which might have been serving idols. That stone was missing because it had to come from the bottom up. It had to come from a reflective way, not from a way that it was being given.
It's reminiscent of Rus.
Rus, like the idea of
She had to bring what, mercy? She had to bring an attribute back to the Jews. When she became a Jew, she brought back to the Jewish people an attribute. I don't know if it was compassion or mercy or one of those. You know what I'm talking about?
I don't remember. I don't recall.
Yeah, there's a
certain attribute that she brought to the Jewish people. So also over
it was
here.
lost or missing. Yeah.
So also over here you see this idea that there was something lost, let's say by the mitzvah of kibbud avim, and that came from the non-Jews, just like the idea of Binyamin or the idea of the Jasper, where it's a reflective light. Now, thinking in this vein, thinking of this idea, what reward did he get? The mitzvah of para aduma.
To expiate sin.
How does para aduma connect to this? So the last paragraph on the bottom. It's so para aduma in the Torah. In which parsha do we have para aduma? It's in Parshas Chukas. And what is that juxtaposed to? It's the parsha of Miriam passing away. So the rabbis ask, Lama nismacha parshas Miriam la parshas para. Why is the story of Miriam coming in close continuation to the story of the para aduma? Laimar lecha, to tell you, ma para machaperes, just like the cow brings atonement, so too does the passing of tzaddikim bring atonement to the Jewish people. Yes, David?
It says Ruth brought the attribute of chesed.
Chesed. Okay, great. So there you see a similar idea.
Loyalty, kindness, love, and grace. Her steadfast devotion to her mother-in-law Naomi and her eventual commitment to Naomi's people and to God are considered the ultimate example of chesed. And it was diminished or missing in the Jewish people, and she brought it back.
Right.
From the outside, from the
Very interesting. So here you see that idea also.
Parallel to this.
Yes. So now, we're putting the pieces of the picture together. So they were missing the Yashpeh of Binyamin because it had to come from bottom up. And what reward did he get? The paraduma. Now, what does the paraduma represent? So paraduma is very different than any other carbon. How is it different? Every carbon has to be brought in the Beis Hamikdash. You can't bring a carbon outside. Paraduma has to be brought outside. What does that do? Like David mentioned before, it atones for sins. But it could atone for something that regular carbon cannot do. What could it atone for? Even for tumas meis, someone that became impure from touching it, right? So what does that show? That again, this is something which is from bottom up, right? We're going all the way to the bottom. Because he started off with the mitzvah of kibbud avim, related to the Yashpeh of Binyamin, his reward was that he was even able to go even further and bring purity to something which is so down there, something which is very tamei, and bring that back up to make him tahar, right?
Two opposite sides of life. Abba Aim represents birth, and Mace represents death.
And when you make tahara, though, you're bringing him back to life.
Yeah. So
that could be connected up. That's a good one. I didn't even think about that. So the bringing it back to life. Another very interesting thing is that which stone was missing? It was the stone at the end of the Choshen, right? Which one of the mitzvah of kibbud av va'em is where? We said is at the end of the first luach, at the end of the... Now, what did we say about mitzvahs kibbud av va'em? It's a very special mitzvah. It's a mitzvah that connects us and Hashem. We said there's three partners in creating a child. You have the parents and you have Hashem. So, what was the ultimate conclusion? We have this machlekes between the angels. Is it going to be Shoham or is it going to be Yashpeh? Hashem says it'll be both. So, just like in the mitzvah of kibbud av va'em, we have this, combining both. You also have this idea of kadkoid, where it's uniting both the direct light and the reflective light. So, it's very interesting how this all comes together. From one hand, you have, starting from bottom up. Mitzvahs kibbud av va'em is bottom up. Why? It's not the father respecting the child, it's the opposite. The kid is looking up to his parents, giving kibbud av. So, this is what happens. First, they're missing the stone. Why are they missing it? Because it has to come from the bottom. What does Dama ben Asina do? He respects his father, coming from the bottom, from the son, up to his father. What do the Jewish people do? They buy the Yashpeh from him. It's something which is brought from the non-Jews to the Jewish people. What reward does he get? He gets a paraduma. He's even to go even further and bring something which is even further down and bring that all the way up and to make that tahar. So this is really amazing how, this all ties in with the idea of Ohr Chozer, of bottom up. It's specifically the Yashpeh of Binyamin. It's specifically the tzaddik, which is tachtoin, which is on the bottom, which is bringing everything up. Now, one thing we didn't resolve yet was that same day, when was the cow born? Was it that same day, or was it the next year, or was it a year later?
Could have been Rosh Hashanah.
Wow, that's amazing. Reb Chaim Kanievsky, he says that answer. He says that to resolve the Bavli and the Yerushalmi, he says that the story happened the day before Rosh Hashanah.
Which is when they would have needed
Needed what?
That's when they would have needed it, because he dresses all in his finery for Rosh Hashanah.
That's for Yom Kippur, I would think, no? Or maybe you need it for Yom Tov.
You're right, I'm not paying close attention to the ceremonies, but I thought maybe he dressed all in his, in the entire garb for Rosh Hashanah. Okay.
So, but either way, that's the idea. So it doesn't have to be a contradiction. It was that night, but it was a new year, so it's a whole year. That's one way to answer it. Another way, we said the difference between Yerushalmi and Bavli is Yerushalmi is the direct light, right? Bavli is the light which returns. One of the differences between direct light and returning light is that when things are direct, you see it right away. When things are not direct, it takes a long time. So in Yerushalmi, things happen right away. Ohr Yashar. So he needed a reward, he got reward right away. He got that, the cow was born that same night. Talmud Bavli, you have to work hard in the Gemara. You don't get there right away. So that's why it was Lashana Acheres. It took a whole year until they got to it. Now, one final difference was he rewarded or not? In our story, in the Gemara and Bavli, it says that he said, I don't want to take reward. He said, I only want to take what I lost for honoring my parents. In Talmud Yerushalmi, it says that he took all the reward, he took in gold. So what is happening there? So in the last class we spoke about kibbud av va'em, that goyim are also supposed to do kibbud av va'em, honoring parents, but it's on a different level than the way Jewish people do it. And it could be that the difference between the Talmud Bavli and Yerushalmi is, how was Dama ben Asina doing this mitzvah of kibbud av va'em? Was he doing it as a regular goy, or was he doing it on a Jewish level? Was he doing it, as something more like a chayk, more like a para duma? Was he doing it for the sake of Hashem, or was he doing it more of like a mitzvah bin adam lachavera, like between one person and another?
You said a Jew would be it would not be problematic for a Jew to wake up his father.
And
So he was going far beyond that.
so he was going far.
Unless his father was mentally deranged, which is a possibility. But
Yeah.
the other possibility we discussed was that a Jew would not have taken it to those lengths. He would have known the halacha that he could wake his father.
So you're saying he was going beyond. So that's what we could say in our Gemara over here in the Ein Yaakov. Because he was going beyond, he didn't want to take reward. And the Marsha actually says he wanted to get his reward in Olam Haba. He didn't want to get it down here. He wanted to get it in Olam Haba.
But it says go ahead and get the reward right away.
So that's the Yerushalmi.
Uh-huh.
So in the Yerushalmi, we could say that he was maybe doing it on a lower level. The mitzvah of Kavod Avayim that he was doing in Yerushalmi, that was not on the same level, and that's why he was rewarded down here. So that's another very interesting difference between Bavli and Yerushalmi, and this, shows us that there's many different levels of honoring your father. Kavod Avayim, you could do it on a basic level and get the reward down here, or you could do it, on a very high level and get the reward in Olam Haba. So this is, you could take this story and, just one detail of the story from the Yerushalmi, this Yashpeh of Binyamin, the special stone. Why was it specifically this stone that was missing? This is.
So I got two more things to add to that.
Sure.
As I'm likely to do. So we said life and death.
Yeah.
Two sides of
The paraduma.
So the death being the paraduma, it elevates death. It removes the impurity of death, and life was the other side that Yosef, Binyamin, I forget that part. But I was thinking, when you're born, you're a direct transmitter. Your life, what you make of your life is happening as you go along. It's directed. You're bringing stuff out directly. And once you die, your life is complete. But the only way you can influence the world is by reflection. That people can read your writings or look at your deeds and say, okay, I want to live like this, or I want to learn from this. But now it's in reflection. So when you're born and throughout your life, you're leading by example of what you're doing, and when you're dead, you're leading by example of what you did. So that's reflection and that's transmission.
Exactly.
So that was that thought. And the other thought is now gone from my skull.
Yeah, so on that line, till you get back your idea, that's why it says, that on the day of a passing of a tzaddik, it says reflective light could be much more powerful than a direct light. Like we said, that the light of the Yashpeh, it could be like shooting arrows, like that's how it could be blinding. So, there's everything that you do through your life, but what the reflection could be many times more, could be so much more powerful when everything that what the tzaddik did throughout his life, ascends, goes back up, and affects everyone, when everyone reflects and looks back at his lifetime, that could have such a more, the power is much stronger.
And it's very weird the Jews celebrate yahrzeits as more than birthdays. That's not something you see elsewhere.
And this explains it.
Yeah.
The idea of Ohr Chozer, the returning light, how powerful it is. The idea of Binyamin, and the story of Esther, the story of Purim came from being quiet, from being silent. There's a power of that. They say, speaking is worth one coin, not speaking is worth two. So
my other thought is gone with the wind. But anyway, that was a good one. I've been thinking about that since you said that.
Yeah, maybe just 1/2 a second. Another cute idea, actually. Someone was listening to the last class, and he said, "Oh, my father has an idea about this," and he pointed out another difference. He said there was an argument whether it was 600,000 or 800,000.
All right.
So he says, why are these rabbis arguing on the number 600,000 or 800,000? So his name is Rabbi Reuben, a big Talmud Chacham, and he says that there's a discussion, are you allowed to buy the paraduma directly from the goy, or does it have to go through a Jewish salesman? So you see? So that's the difference, 600 or 8,000, which means if you're able to get it directly from the guy, then he gets the full 800,000. if it had to go through the Yid, so they also earn. It's not going to live it.
That's there's 1,000 or 600,000. You ever do business with a Jew?
And that also connects to this whole idea. How much from bottom up does it have? Does it come straight from the bottom up, or does it have to go through an intermediate? So, this is really, you have a story. You always hear the story, but there's so much depth to it. You could go deeper and deeper. Shekayach.